Groom Alcryst calls himself the scum of the wedding, but is that true? Let's find out. So this time he's a red infantry archer with Hardbow Plus as his inheritable weapon. He doesn't really have any kind of preferred weapon, unfortunately, and this is a new kind of inheritable weapon, which is always going to be active in the player phase, and in the enemy phase, it is only going to be active against the ranged foes. So it gives you +4 to all of your stats in the combat, and it also gives you true damage based on 15% of his speed. His speed is pretty high with the super boon, so this is going to be improving your damage output. And then finally, you get damage reduction from foes' first attacks, including the brave hits, depending on if it's your first combat in that phase or not. If it's the first combat of a phase, then you get 60% damage reduction, and if it's not, then you get 30% damage reduction, which is definitely not all that bad, but still, this is completely pierceable damage reduction, and even after all this damage reduction, Alcryst is really not going to be all that bulky to take on many of the nukes. This is a pretty unique weapon, giving you a lot of damage reduction, and a lot of times the enemy that does the most amount of damage is going to be attacking you first. So there you're going to be getting that 60% damage reduction, and in the player phase this can also help you double and survive because his physical bulk is workable. Now, because he's a red infantry archer, he's going to be getting compared to Cyril, our Grail unit, who did come around Choose Your Legends, and he was a trainee BST unit, which means that he scores like a 200 BST unit in Arena because of having a preferred weapon. And the preferred weapon of Cyril is not really too insane or flashy, but it gets the job done. It gives him a lot of stats, it gives him null penalties, which does help when we have got so many ploy and sabotage skills, and also gives him true damage just like Alcryst's weapon, but 20% of his speed. But if you look at the stat spread of these units, Groom Alcryst is just going to be better when it comes to using Arcane Darkbow because he has got better speed and also slightly higher attack stat, and his defense and resistance are pretty much going to be the same, but he is going to be lacking in the HP. So ultimately you want to player phase with Alcryst, whereas Cyril can survive a lot of the hits, and the main reason why you invest in Cyril is because of arena scoring, because you can have a ranged free to play unit and that can make things easier for you. But if you don't really care about arena scoring, then Groom Alcryst is going to be better offensively. He's also going to be facing competition, or I guess giving competition to Caster, and Caster has got higher attack but a lot less speed, and Alcryst just blows him out of the water. Really unfortunate circumstance. And then he can also be compared to the other 3-star, 4-star colorless archers like Dorothy and Kiragi, so he's pretty much going to be a better version of Kiragi, having more speed, having more attack, and also having pretty similar defense. And he also has a bit more speed than Dorothy, which again helps you with Arcane Darkbow builds if you're going to be doing that as your endgame build. Coming back to Groom Alcryst, he does come with bonus doubler 3 as a 5-star skill, and he's the first rail unit to come with this skill, so it can help you with the bridge fodder. He also has attack speed 03 at 4-star, which we also had on Holst, so not the most unique skill, but this can help you get the tier 4 version a lot easily, especially on Groom Alcryst himself, because that is going to be one of the better skills for him. And when it comes to his assets, speed is going to be the main IV you're going to be picking with your trait fruits, as it does have the super boon. And then if you're going to be ascending an asset with Floret, then attack is going to be the boon that you should be picking, even though it's not a super boon. His main fodder usage is going to be with bonus doubler 3, but if you've got something like Winterclad or any of the armor archers, then they can make use of Hardbow Plus to get that damage reduction while tanking as a far savior, and then they can just stack that up with Savvy Fighter and just stack up a lot of speed. So that is one of the applications of this weapon, even though it's not the most insane weapon compared to the other options that we have got. And if you're going to be building him up, then there are actually a lot of good bows that you can select from. Lucrative Bow Plus is also a pretty good option. It's also called White Wind Bow Plus, and it's available in Divine Codes. But Windtrap Katria also has the Fortray skill, and Alcryst is not going to be able to make use of that, and it's much better to just fodder off Candace for this weapon. So it is going to be giving you that null follow-up status and the null panic status, and it has no cap to the attack and speed that you can get. So it is going to be depending on the number of bonus status effects on you and the penalty status effects on the foe ×2 added by 5. And if you give him a lot of status effects and run him with allies that can debuff the enemies with a lot of negative status effects like Ploy, Sabotage, and a lot of the other things, then he's going to be able to get a lot more offenses. And this is a pretty easily available weapon, and it's pretty good for what it does. Golden Yule Bow Plus from Winterclad is also a really unique option because of the special jumping that you can get. So the special jumping you get is going to be dependent on the clash condition, and you can also get +7 to all of your stats in the combat. So the special jump can be up to max 3, and this way you can instantly trigger Deadeyes, which is going to be helping you for a free-to-play weapon. And there's also Arcane Darkbow, pretty much the best weapon that he can run because it has got minus and special cooldown, it gives him extra offenses, and just like Cyril's weapon, it also has null penalties and also has half null follow-up, the offensive half, which is what you need in the player phase to bypass any kind of follow-up negation effect. And then it has got the dive bomb or the desperation effect. So this allows you to easily trigger Deadeyes, and you do have access to the tempo skill. And Rearmed Alcryst is on the Bridal Banner right now, so you can try and get him. And he's also going to be getting a run on 17th June, so that is also something you can look forward to. Kumo Yumi Plus is also a decent option, giving you the warping and also the player phase brave effect and Omni +4. So if you want a brave weapon, this could be an option. And then finally we have got Arcane Nastron, which is a really unimpressive weapon because guaranteed follow-up attack is not really all that useful, and Hardbow Plus just gives you more damage reduction than this arcane weapon, and the bonus attack is fine, but you get true damage as it is from Hardbow. So I would say that this is pretty much the weapon you should not really be considering that much, and the other options are just a lot better. So if you're going to be building him up on a budget, then you can just give him Desperation as a slot B skill. So this can make for a bootleg Arcane Darkbow, and because of the damage reduction of his weapon, it is going to be a bit easier for him to fall into the Desperation range. And if you don't really have a big engaged roster, then he can definitely help you in the engaged limited hero battles, and he can just stack up the offenses with Blade Session as the Sacred Seal. If you're going to be spending more fodder on him and plus merging him, then you can try and build this from the Divine Codes. So you can get Young Rebecca and also Ascended for Combat Manual, and pretty much get Finish for Physical Non Follow-Up and Attack Speed Oath 4. Like I said before, Attack Speed Oath 4 is a really good skill for him, and Physical Non Follow-Up is going to be giving you that 50% damage reduction piercing. So even if you don't run Deadeye, this is still helpful, and Attack Speed Finish gives you that healing and also the true damage. So overall, a pretty decent build that you can get out of the Divine Codes, and you can still run Hardbow Plus as his weapon if you don't really have other options. But Lucrative Bow Plus is going to be giving you more offenses, so it could be run, and you can also run this with Speed Defense Tempo 4, which is the closest you'll get to his preferred skill, Get Behind Me. So it is going to be giving you that Null Guard effect and the damage reduction piercing, and that is going to be having good synergy with the special charges status you can get out of the Pledge skill. So with Lucrative Bow Plus, you want to give more bonus status effects on him. So you can run Pledge skill, which gives you the special charges. You can even run him with Attack Oath Echo. It does overlap with the visible buffs, but still it gives you the order status. So this way he has got 4 status effects on his own, and that gives you +13 attack and speed. And then if you run him with an ally that can have a lot of negative status effects on the enemies, then he can have even more offenses. Emblem Marth could be used with Deadeye so that it becomes a 2 cooldown special, and then you can trigger it. You're going to be piercing the damage reduction with tempo on the hits that you don't trigger Deadeye, but when you trigger Deadeye, you're going to be completely piercing the damage reduction. Arcane Darkbow is going to be the endgame option for him, and he's pretty much going to be a red Rearmed Alcryst in a way, so you can get Flash Barrow at the same time and also run Deadeye. And Speed Defense Tempo 4 is going to be the best sloppy skill you can run. If you don't really have the tier 4 version, you can still get the tier 3 version out of Divine Codes. So until then, you can run that, even though it doesn't really give you that damage reduction piercing. And again, Attack Speed Oath 4 is going to be a fantastic skill for getting the extra offenses. And this is a completely player phase build, so it is going to be making the best use out of his offensive stat spread, which he has got better than a lot of the archers, and Blade Session is going to be there for maximizing the offenses. Flash Barrow does give you these special charges, so this way you can trigger Deadeye on your double, and you get the dive bomb effect out of Arcane Darkbow. So it's pretty easy to do that, and it also has good synergy with the Null Guard of the Tempo skill. You can also run him with Golden Yule Bow Plus if you want to just spam instant Deadeyes with the special jumping, and you can just try and get some true damage out of Assassin Strike and also the Finish skill, because you're going to be triggering the special all the time. So Assassin Strike can give you that pre-combat damage. Unfortunately, he can only run Flared Sparrow, so Finish is pretty much going to be the best option. So this is also a way of triggering Deadeye on your first attack instead of your second attack. but it is going to be susceptible to the scowl effect, which you'll have to watch out for. And if you're a big Groom Alcryst fan, then this is going to be the max build that you can run. So this is going to be stacking the most amount of offenses and the most amount of true damage and the pre-combat damage that you can try and get. So with Emblem Marth, you have a 1 cooldown Deadeye, and because you're going to be getting special charges out of attack speed pledge, you're going to be triggering this on your double, which you're going to be doing with the dive bomb effect of Arcane Dark Bow, and attack speed finish is going to be giving you that true damage. So you don't really have to run Flash Sparrow anymore, and you can get the extra true damage out of it. The healing is inconsequential with a player face build like this because ideally you should not be taking any kind of damage, and then Assassin Strike is going to be giving you true damage and also the pre-combat damage. Pledge does give you the visible buff, so it does help, and if you really want to give him an attune skill, then right now Attack with Echo is pretty much the best option. Fleeting Echo could also be an option for getting that extra speed, but that damage reduction is really not going to be doing much. Maybe in the future we get better attune skills for Groom Alcryst, but until then, this is a build that you can run at absolute max investment. You can click the link on his stream right now to check out my former building guide for this month's Hall of Forms, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as the amount of blue and green free-to-play archers that we have got in the recent times. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.